Why are attractive women becoming more narcissistic in today's modern age? Why are women in general becoming more and more egotistical, entitled, self-absorbed, right, and controlling in today's dating age? If you're a man watching and this is what you've noticed and this is the trend that you've noticed, this video is going to be one for you because I've done a little bit of research myself, and I'm going to try to break down some of the reasons and the things that you can do in order to change this trend or fight against this trend, okay? So, first off, I've done a little research on dating apps in general, and what I've noticed is that women in general get 3 times more likes than the male counterparts. Now, Caucasian men, on the other hand, get the most options and most matches when it comes to dating apps in general, and the marginalized men of ethnicities honestly fall after, okay? But women in general, regardless of ethnicity, get much more matches and likes on dating apps. And what does this mean in our current society? What does this show us, and what can we learn from our current society and this trend specifically? Because there's a lot of things that are showing, even through dating apps, that you can learn from and fight against. And I'm not telling you to not use dating apps. However, there's obvious ways for us to fight against this trend, okay? Hi everyone, I'm Christy. I'm a therapist and a relationship coach, or a brain geek, if you will, or a philosophical social psychology geek. Welcome back if you're old here. I am so excited to see you back, and thank you for supporting me. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome to our community. If you can do me a favor and just hit the like button and the subscribe button, obviously it helps with the algorithm a little bit, but it also helps me to be able to create additional free value for you guys, because some of these topics are highly triggering but extremely important, and highly controversial but extremely important for us to discuss, because a lot of the times these topics do not get brought out in the normalized society of social media, because we're all just too gentle nowadays. So I want you guys to support me, because this is the stuff that you all need to hear, because this is the topics and the themes and the issues that men deal with that affect their mental health. And I see that in practice. I see that every single day when I work with clients, the frustrations, the pains. And so I want to give actionable, valuable content for you guys in order to create more self-aware, healthy individuals that are aware of the behaviors that they exude, okay? So hit that subscribe button and like button, and that will help me create more videos like this for you. So to break down this topic a little bit more, I did a deep dive into the infamous Reddit forums, because that's where you hear some of the most intriguing, controversial, sensitive topics that society is feeling in real time, right? And so I actually found this forum, and I found it extremely relevant to a lot of the clients that I deal with as well. And not to get into the whole red pill and incel and be judgmental that, you know, red pill men and incels experience this the most, right? I think the general population of men, whether you be 6'5", I don't know, like really successful, very, very high value, right? Or the average man that doesn't get a lot of likes on dating apps, this trend is full-fledged on for every single person on this earth, every single man on this earth. And to be honest, what I'm going to discuss is a lot of the issues and a lot of the things that men are not doing to fight against this trend of entitled, narcissistic women is genuinely your fault, and let me explain. But first, I'm gonna go over the Reddit forum, read it out loud for you guys to absorb it, think about it on your own, and I'm gonna give my own feedback, okay? And please, don't be too triggered with me saying it's your fault, because as a therapist or in my practice, I like people who see that their behaviors and thoughts have fault in it, because with fault and mistakes comes a blind spot or an opportunity to take accountability. And when with the opportunity to actually take accountability comes an opportunity to change and improve your own outlook in life. Okay, so finding fault and finding mistakes is highly crucial for you to be able to feel in more control of your dating life, your mental health, or your relationships, or your overall identity as a man. So that's why I say it's your fault, because a lot of the things that I'm about to say and reflect on is truly an opportunity for you to be able to make impactful change in the little increments of life, okay? Even after this video. So let's read the Reddit forum right now. The title being, most attractive women in America have a narcissism complex and social media and men are largely to blame, which I completely agree with right off the bat when I read that topic, with obviously the information I know, but obviously you need to figure out what those issues are for you to change it. So before I go down my feedback, let's read the forum. Most women who are highly attractive often have a huge narcissism complex and have very little interest, personality, or topics of conversation but beyond maximizing their attractiveness and the benefits it gets them. Okay, hence, yes, you do hear the general trends of really hot women being showgirls or bottle service girls and things like that, right? Hot women, you need to be hot in order to land a job like that, right? Or a bartender, right? Or a really hot server, right? The problem is that most men and all over social media enable this, and I've seen grown men act like teenage girls spotting Taylor Swift in the public whenever they see a very pretty woman around, and they look and act like bewildered idiots, okay? Honestly, I noticed that as well. And the women, obviously having had to deal with this since they were probably teenagers, have an air of superiority about them that is equally ridiculous. Extremely fair, right? That's social psychology for you. If you travel to other countries where very beautiful women are more common and not treated like it's very special for it, the women in these countries have much better personalities and more down to earth. I beg to differ, actually. I think the general trends of men falling for and giving more attention to beautiful women will always prevail in the dating market. That's evolutionary. That's always been how men select women in general, with their beauty, with their symmetrical faces, with their ass, right? With their body shape and things like that. That kind of promotes youthfulness, fertility, and things like that. Your brain is ingrained to be attracted to these things because you are humans of reproduction, and your goal in life is actually not money, right? It's actually to reproduce and increase your ability to survive, right? And that means you have to reproduce and your genes has to continue. And so I don't actually think this person has made an arguable point that beautiful women in other countries other than America are a little bit more down to earth because they're not treated differently, right? Although there's some value in that, which I'm gonna kind of break down. So this guy gave some really important points that I want to give feedback on. But first, let's get straight to what I think are extremely important for us to understand in this video, and why women in westernized cultures seem to be a little bit more narcissistic and calculated and egotistical in comparison to obviously other countries. Although I think beauty as a general trend is going to be a prevailing variable that men will always tend to gravitate towards and select in order to honestly reproduce with and have sex, right? It's what you're attracted to. Men are visual creatures. I don't think that is like a new information out there. What can you do as a man, even after this video, to start understanding what faults you have in creating this group or the prevalent of beauty and creating this group of women who essentially thinks beauty is everything? Okay? Because to be honest, if you hear it on the other side, women nowadays are extremely self-conscious with their body and their image, right? And their physical attractiveness. It's what constitutes, and their age, right? It's what constitutes their value in the dating market. Okay, so if you can kind of look at it on the other side, it's very much true that women who then have the age, the most wanted age, and the beauty and the physical attractiveness, they feel a little bit more valued because men are looking for that. Okay, so this brings me back to the first point. It's pretty privilege, okay? And every man and woman has pretty privilege, and you see that this all of the time, okay? And it's across sectors, okay? But men's pretty privilege has the same effect as a woman's pretty privilege, but what your privileges do, it kind of benefits you in different ways in the dating market. Now, pretty privilege is a real thing. I don't want to negate the fact of that, right? And so you have to understand that if you know there is pretty privilege out there, this brings me to point number 2, which is it's really important for you to understand as a man, with the exposure of what you're doing and what you're gravitated towards every single day, beauty, right? Whether it be porn, whether it be social media influencers and models, whether it be liking certain photos or gravitated towards certain photos and not others, right? You are feeding back into a system of women and community that is reinforcing them to see that their beauty is the only thing that they have, that their body being sexualized is the only value that they have, right? So if that's what you're attracted to, and you're also in today's day and age with social media being like highly easy to track what men and women like, right? That those like buttons and those comment buttons and the stories that people post and the engagement that people get, right, is real life data of what your brain is telling you you are gravitated towards, where your attention is going. And so if you are finding yourself constantly watching porn and sexualizing women's bodies, and women are noticing that your following feed is constantly beautiful women or half naked women's and things like that, right? And you're complaining about the fact that going out with women who are extremely beautiful, they're becoming a little bit more narcissistic and controlling and entitled. I mean, you kind of fed into that, right? Before you even went on the date, right? Your actions and the things that you do every single day is feeding into this community, and it's building this community of women who think that's how you get a good man, right? Or at least the option to choose from a vast majority of men. That's what women's goals is to get the highest top tier man, right? Or at least like to be able to be provided and protected. And so they're going to need a lot of options. And how do you get a lot of options as a woman? You need to have a lot of attention, right? And so if you are the type of man who is complaining that women are being entitled and beautiful women are being entitled and controlling and narcissistic, but even your behaviors prior to going on a date is not aligned with your validation or objection of what women's beauty should and should not be, right? I see that as extremely unfair, and I see that as a huge fault to you. And I'm saying this as a woman, right? I'm saying this as a woman who tries my best to keep a very other than my business Instagram. I try to keep my personal life extremely secluded, and my following is literally like 200 people, okay? Like, I keep it extremely small, and I try not to post, you know, very, very revealing outfits of myself, and I try to live a very disciplined life, and I set rules for myself. But honestly, men are not liking that, right? Men are not, even in your daily habitual scrollings, you're not gravitated towards that, and you're finding yourself falling into not even noticing what you like and dislike doesn't match with what you say you dislike, right? So I see that as extremely unfair, right, to the general trends, and it's not all women's to blame, right? It's essentially a two-way street, because you have to understand we live in an ecosystem, and this ecosystem is built upon, other than obviously how modernized things have been with technology and AI, and there's other purposes in life. Our main purpose as a species is to reproduce, and the dating market will always be there. It's an ancestral like trend that will never disappear. And so if you're not noticing how the effects of social media affects the things that you actually find attractive as a man, which then affects your behaviors of how much you watch porn or what you think a woman is in terms of the beauty standards and things like that, and you're liking and reinforcing or making excuses for beautiful women in general, you're feeding into the fire is what I mean, okay? Because men, you do give beautiful women special treatment, right? So let's just be honest, okay? And this brings me to my third point. Now, what can you do and what can you practice? A lot of the times when I work with clients, we truly practice what I call high value behaviors. And to break it down, it can be as simple as being able to understand how your words and actions match. The things that you say you like needs to match your actions. And it's not just in front of women, but it's in front of yourself, okay? And that very much shows in characteristics that I assess in terms of your ability to control your impulses, your ability to control how much porn do you watch, right? And how many times do you find yourself falling for Instagram models, right? I'm not saying it's not nice to look at. I mean, I think the women on these apps are damn gorgeous, right? They're really, really, really hot and really beautiful, and oh my gosh, like, it's invigorating to look at. Even I'm a woman and I think that. But how much weight do you put on the level of beauty over your behaviors, okay? So really important for you to control your ability to just say, this is a beautiful woman, but okay, and that's about it, and kind of scroll away, right? But if you find yourself or you catch yourself every single time a beautiful woman walks in and you're like thinking to yourself, like, you can't control your impulses, and you start thinking she must be a high level person and she must be this, this, and this, and this, and you start painting and fantasizing and over ruminating and start putting her on a pedestal, that's when it can really affect your impulses, right? Because impulse control doesn't only affect what you choose to do or not do, right? It affects your ability to control your mind. Where does your mind go when you see these pictures and you look at porn or you see a beautiful woman walk in? Are you able to just look at her, see, assess, and be like, yeah, she's fucking hot, but I'm sitting in front of my family or I'm sitting in front of my friend, and that person deserves much more of my time and my headspace than the woman that just walked in. Like, you can enjoy her a little bit, but it doesn't affect the things that you choose to focus on after. And that is extremely important. Impulse control cannot be faked, okay? It's not just by controlling your behaviors, which is many times the false reality of what kind of like even alcoholic fail at, right? Impulse control is something in which changes your mind and your ability to assess where your attention is actually put towards naturally, okay? So how much does it truly affect you? How much does pretty and beautiful women affect you and your emotional and cognitive state is a true assessment to a highly assessed value that I see in men who have high value behaviors. Really important that you control that. And that feeds into, obviously afterwards, if you're able to control that, feeds into what you choose to like on Instagram and not like, feeds into who you follow and not follow, feeds into what you think is beautiful and not beautiful. And that brings me to my very last point. Is extremely important that you understand with this general trend of women being more narcissistic, right? You have to know how much beauty, that basically looks isn't everything, right? And it's a very basic term, but you have to also be aware that it does matter, right? But to the degree of how much does it matter to you? Do you put an effort for yourself to look good and feel good? And how much that is important to you? Like, how much does that woman put on the value of looking good and feeling good, right? If it's important for men to continuously invest in their looks, I'm not telling you to go look like a hobo or start, not working out and start eating horribly because we don't want to feed into the pretty privilege trend. That is horrible, right? But what's important is you need to be aware of how much weight and how much control does beauty and looks have over your life, okay? So you might be a man that really cares about your hairstyle and your fresh fit, right? And a nice watch, and you get your eyebrows waxed. Trust me, I've had clients who do that. They get their eyebrows waxed, and I think it's an amazing thing. Like, if you feel good about it, you should continue doing it. And you work out, right? And you care about how you look, and I really value that. And I think women, high value women, value that as well. You shouldn't not care, right? That would be a horrible thing. But you have to understand, and you have to be aware of, most of all, how much control do you have over that? How much does that matter to you, right? Is that the only thing that you see is important, right? And how you assess that normally is with the decisions that you choose to make in life. Is that for external validation, or is it really coming from both external and internal validation, right? And that same goes with a woman. How much control and self-awareness do you have with, are you choosing her to be your partner because yes, she's this beautiful, gorgeous woman and more, right? Are there more, right? Are there much more things that you see as extremely valuable and ingrained in her character that is not just outer beauty, right? So really important for you to assess that and understand how much control looks have over the things you choose to do and not do, especially choosing and selecting a partner for yourself. So that's my feedback for this Reddit forum. I hope you found it extremely valuable, and I hope you found that there are strategies in there for you to start reflecting on and start changing and start putting into practice. Because yes, women in a general trend, I do believe, will always have the upper hand if they're beautiful, of age, right? And attractive, did I say beautiful, and intelligent, and XYZ, right? Everything. And she seems very feminine. Did I mention beautiful, right? That's what you guys swipe on dating apps. Let's be real, right? She seems beautiful, and she seems to have, her profile seems to have a cool personality. Like, this is literally the only thing men really look for. So please, guys, be in control over what you're gravitated towards, and also how much does physical beauty affect your ability to control your impulses and to act like a high value person. not just talking about money. High value behaviors and high value masculine behaviors are by far much more important than money, okay? Are you able to act and think, feel, and behave in the way that you said you're going to behave? Really important, okay? Love you guys all, and please guys, don't get at me if I triggered anyone out there or offended anyone out there, or especially women. I try to keep things as fair as possible, but that trend is out there. I see it a lot. I mean, I see how men give me unnecessary attention when I really didn't do anything but say hi to them. And so I know it's really unfair, but there are things that you can start doing from today onwards. So let's put some action to what we learned, okay? Hope you guys like this video. Please comment down below your thoughts, your arguments, your rebuttals, your experiences. I always want to hear what your experiences are, your stories, and connect with you guys one-on-one a little bit. And please guys, do me a favor and put your own identity and your own self-awareness tip at number 1, because that is one of the precursors of increasing your own mental health. So love you guys all. Hope you guys enjoy it. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Hi everyone, if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to follow us on TikTok and IG where we post daily, and YouTube where we post weekly.